Hello. Today, our guest from Beirut is the Lebanese Prime Minister, Nawaf Salam. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for having granted France 24 this interview. We'll start with our first question. You have said that Hezbollah has dragged Lebanon into a war that is not Lebanon's war. And now, a month later, with over 1 million displaced, over 1,000 dead, not to mention those who are injured, do you think this could have been avoided given the current context?
As you said, we were dragged into this war. We didn't want this war. This war was imposed upon us. And I repeat myself, but this is somebody else's war. We were dragged into this war. It is a war between Iran, the United States, and Israel. It could have been avoided, for sure. If Hezbollah had decided to launch these 6 rockets by way of support or revenge for the assassination of the Supreme Guide, Ali Khamenei. But unfortunately, back 2 years ago, we were dragged into another war, the war of supposedly support to Gaza.
Yes, precisely. Your government took a historic measure for the Lebanese state, and that is to demand the disarmament of Hezbollah in order not to be dragged into wars that are not Lebanese wars. And you declared its military activities illegal, yet it continues to defy the state. So today, what can concretely be done today? Does the army have the capacity to oppose it?
Well, it's not just a matter of disarming Hezbollah. I mean, that decision was made 25 years ago in the Taif agreements that put an end to the war in Lebanon back in 1989. It was clearly stipulated that the Lebanese state alone, and I repeat, alone, should have weapons at all. And 25 years down the road, we found ourselves with Hezbollah armed to the teeth. And there's this duality here. It's not just in terms of security or in military terms, but even in the decision-making process. In the country, I mean, case in point, I mean, the war, it's not my government, the state didn't decide to get into that war.
But concretely, what can you do against the state within a state that continues to defy you?
Well, a decision was made, a historic decision was made on the 5th of August of last year. We asked the armed forces to go before the Council of Ministers with a plan to extend the authority of the Lebanese state over the entire territory and to ensure a monopoly of weapons on the entire Lebanese territory. Now, this is a 5-stage plan that was presented to the government. The government welcomed this plan. And stage 1 was completed back in December. And at least in principle, the state had operational control over the area south of the Litany River. Now we moved on to stage 2, and we were in stage 2 when the war broke out. Now, I know when we told, well, you made decisions, but they were not implemented. Nonetheless, this situation has been going on since 1982, referring to Hezbollah. More than 40 years, 45 years indeed. So there you have an armed force which is rooted in the country, and you can't expect to dislodge it in a matter of weeks and months. But this is a process which had started, and we were determined to see it through. And now you have this episode, this sort of big interlude with the war breaking out here. This is not to say that we will question the decision we made to insist that the state should have a monopoly of weapons.
Well, precisely, some Hezbollah leaders lately have qualified you as a traitor, and they've even went so far as to compare your government to the government of Vichy, no less. They even threatened you with a direct confrontation after the war. Do you not fear that this will lead to a civil war?
Hang on. How can you... Could we be called traitors? I mean, is there any other state in the world with two armed forces, two decision-making centers? There's no such thing. Imagine a state with people living in a country and yet being above the law, whereas the rest of the population has to work out some other way. I mean, that can't work. I mean, the very definition of the state is that the state alone should have a full monopoly of weapons. It has a monopoly of violence. I mean, and how could we qualify that as being a traitor to the state? I mean, it is the others that are outside the law. And we said so in so many terms. It was, it was back then when the decision was made in the Council of Ministers, we called the security and military activities of Hezbollah as being outside the law.
Do you not fear that after this parenthesis, as you say, this current war will lead to a civil war between them and the army?
Now, listen, civil war is not going to happen. No Lebanese person wants to see civil war again. I mean, you can read books about civil wars, and there are civil wars, say, in Africa and various parts of the world. But the big difference here is that the Lebanese people have experienced civil war, and they know the price to pay for civil war. And I don't believe for a second that the Lebanese want to see that again. Civil war is a nightmare. They don't want to see that happen again. So I can't imagine any Lebanese national prepared to experience that nightmare again. But that specter of civil war is being used by Hezbollah as a means of bullying the population and bullying the state. They want to, I mean, when we state we need to have a monopoly of weapons, they say we are dragging the country to the brink of civil war. I don't believe it for a second. This is just a bullying tactic, and we will not be bullied.
Do you not fear that the disproportionate response, as Jean-Yves Le Drian had said, will legitimize Hezbollah in the population of Lebanon, saying that they feel that Hezbollah will protect them from these attacks?
Listen, Mr. Le Drian is quite right. This response is disproportionate. Israel's response is disproportionate. Having said that, the real issue is this. Did Hezbollah's weapons deter Israel from attacking us? Of course not. And neither was this the case back during the war of support to Gaza. Hezbollah's weapons did not deter Israel. Israel did attack. The weapons are supposed to protect Lebanon, to protect the Lebanese population. Now, about 40 villages were razed to the ground by Hezbollah itself. So how could you possibly claim that Hezbollah's weapons protect the country at all? In fact, they were not even able to protect their own leaders.
Okay, very quickly, because time is flying.
Not to mention the war of support to Gaza. If you are equipped with a TV set, you can see for yourself. Is Gaza today in any better state than it was prior to the war of support to Gaza? And now we have a war of support to Iran.
Well, very quickly, two last questions. First, on Israel, which is expanding its buffer zone to the south of Lebanon, 30 kilometers. Are you afraid that this is going to be a continuous occupation of Lebanon, or are there negotiations underway?
Well, they call that, a security zone or buffer zone. This is quite unacceptable for any Lebanese patriot. This is a flagrant violation, not just of Lebanese sovereignty, but it's also a violation of Lebanon's territorial integrity. It is completely unacceptable. Now, is Israel here to stay? But whether they stay there 24 hours or 6 months is the same thing. It is a violation of our territorial integrity, and that is quite unacceptable.
One last question, very quickly. Negotiations with Israel. The President of the Republic talked about this. Is this still on the agenda?
Well, yes, certainly. Talks are always on the table. Having said that, if you want to enter formal negotiations, you need to have an agenda, you need to agree on the venue of the talks, you need to work out the date of the talks, etc. I mean, a number of items that haven't been finalized yet. But of course, we're always in favor of negotiations with Israel to put an end to this war and to ensure the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Lebanon.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Nawaf Salam, Prime Minister of Lebanon, for having answered our questions.
Thank you.